Celine Song's Past Lives had its nationwide release near the end of this June, and I am one of the many people who have gotten to see it this past week, or 2, or 3, depending on when this video is coming out. I put some extra time into gathering my thoughts about this film, as it's something that you really need to take time to think about, but also because it's something that I myself have things to learn from it. The film follows Nora Moon, a woman who migrates with her family from Korea to America when she was a little girl. She gets back in touch with a man by the name of Hae Sung she used to like back when she was in Korea and communicates online with him. But then they slowly fade out of contact again, and she cuts him off. Many years go by once more, and Nora's happily married to a man named Arthur, but Hae Sung hasn't exactly moved on from her even after so much time has gone by, so he ends up paying a visit to New York for a week to meet her, delving into a wise drama between 3 characters that tell the story of moving on, falling out of love, growing up, and letting go of the people you once clung to when you were a child, and the ideas of those people that you once had. As a guy who's starting college soon and isn't even in his 20s yet, I don't even believe that I can fully appreciate this film in its entirety just yet. Not because I don't think it can resonate with those who are younger, but because there are so many elements to this movie's small story, so many character reactions, interactions, and conversational scenes that hit you particularly deep because of just how adult they are. And when I say adult, I'm obviously not talking about, that stuff, but rather the context and nature of how they're speaking and what they're saying. They are very clearly people who have experienced a lot of life so far and have lived a relatively long time, at least in the sense that, they're older than 20. They don't dumb down the writing of the dialogue to try and appease more to younger viewers, and instead stay true to the fact that these characters are not kids. Otherwise, it would kind of go against the core themes of the film. So what am I even saying here right now? Well, I'm saying the dialogue is good if you couldn't get that already. But I'm also saying more than just that. A big chunk of the movie is just the 3 titular characters simply communicating their feelings. They don't always communicate them in the most blunt or reasonable of ways, but that's kind of the point. While they are adults and while they are more mature than kids, they still have their own insecurities, things they worry about, and things they are self-conscious about. And they also have things that they don't want to accept. One of the 3 titular characters, Arthur, the husband of Nora, is the primary example here. While he trusts his wife to not do anything behind his back, you can clearly see there is some concern and jealousy in him when he first finds out Hae Sung is coming to New York. This becomes more apparent when he and Nora begin to actually talk things out together that very night, and he explains to her his fear of losing her to someone she knew long before he knew her. He uses writing analogies to envision just how boring she must think their lives together are compared to what could have been. And while that isn't the mature approach to take, you can see where he's coming from. Nora sees where he's coming from, but instead of reassuring him with all this puppy love, she lets him know he's wrong, that she loves him, and leaves it at that. They are communicating, but you can tell there's still too much unresolved tension between them to just let go of it. You don't get the sense that everything is okay yet, because it isn't. The past is still there confronting her, and there is still stuff she herself has not come to terms with. And he's just set in the middle of that. If it was you in that situation, you would be stressed out too. But even with that, he never tries to interfere or delve too deep into it because he still trusts her to do the right thing. It's both out of trust and out of insecurity that he decides to stay at a distance from the situation until the very end. A lot may think it's solely out of trust for her that he stays out of it and he's just being super thoughtful, but that's not entirely the case. He still sees himself as below Hae Sung as a man. When they meet, he feels this come right back to him, like a big punch to the gut. He sees someone that represents all of his insecurities and attempts to avoid confrontation at first. When he finds out that they went to see the Statue of Liberty together, even though he's never done that with Nora, there's a subtle sense of pettiness from him. All of this is held together by a complex and brilliant performance from John Magaro that depicts a man who, while knowing he's loved, still feels he's lacking in something for that to feel true. I'd be very surprised if John, or really any of the 3 leads, don't get any Oscar buzz this year. I've talked about Arthur a lot, but this movie isn't about him. Of the 3 characters with any real screen time, he's the supporting character while Nora and Hae Sung are the leads. I just wanted to talk about him first because of this middle stance he has, and because I wanted to save my thoughts on Nora and Hae Sung for this portion of the video, since that's where the heart of it obviously lies. The majority of this movie is focused on the interactions between Hae Sung and Nora, and funnily enough, both before and after the 12-year time skip, they're relatively the same person. When they first get back into contact, Nora had changed a lot from when she was a child that Hae Sung knew. She isn't the crybaby he used to make fun of, she's fending for herself but doing a well enough job at it, and focuses very little on relationships at this point in her life. While that's all different, she's still aspiring towards the big writing award she's always dreamed of. She's a woman who's dedicated, a woman who's committed, which is something that Hae Sung seems to love about her. But it's because she's dedicated and because she's committed that he can't be with her, because that part of her grows when she gets married. She's committed not only to her husband, but to the life they've made together and all the things they've shared in life. She's happy with him. That's something that she values and something she isn't just going to get rid of because of someone she used to love that came busting through the door back into her life. Hae Sung knows this, but he still has difficulty accepting it, which speaks volumes about his entire character. When they first meet again, you feel the desperation in his heart. He literally finds her again because he was searching for her on her dad's Facebook. When she cuts him off once again, it affects them both, but the difference in how they're taking it is clear because he has a much harder time letting go of it, something he doesn't even do 12 years later. By the time skip, his actions almost become predictable, but not in a way that's bad, rather in a way that's in line with what he represents. When you cling to the past and reach for something that's no longer there, you do things out of the ordinary, but those things are easy to predict outside because desperation is one of the easiest traits to read out of a person. His own friends that didn't even know Nora read it off of him. Arthur reads it before even meeting him, and Nora reads it after meeting him the first time, despite not wanting to believe it at first. He just can't find a way to let go of those moments. But that's why he needed to go there. That's why this entire confrontation needed to happen. The bar scene near the end of the movie is what I mean by this. Going back to the beginning, the movie originally starts off with this scene of two off-screen characters watching Nora, Hae Sung, and Arthur at a bar together having drinks. They discuss whether or not the girl is in a relationship with the white guy or the Korean guy, because from an outsider's perspective, just the fact that most of the conversation is held between Nora and Hae Sung with Arthur as a spectator, you'd assume that Nora and Hae Sung were together, which funnily enough could be said about a lot of moments in the film from an outsider's perspective. We revisit this scene near the end of the film and we see what that conversation really holds, recontextualizing that entire first impression. From an outsider's perspective, it seems like Nora and Hae Sung are together having a fun time, enjoying drinks together, talking about whatever. But in reality, was the moment where the conflict is resolved and the two main characters let everything off their chest. Hae Sung admits why he came, why he wanted to see her so bad, why he couldn't let go, and just how much it hurts to see the girl he loved moving on without him. Whereas Nora takes the stand and comes to terms with her own inner thoughts, that the girl he loved as a kid just isn't her anymore, that she is happy as she is now, and that the lives they live in now were never meant to be intertwined. This theme is represented by inyan, the intertwining fate between two souls as they reincarnate, passing into a different fate together depending on how many lives they've lived. With Arthur and Nora having the right inyan, they are meant to be together in this life. But Nora and Hae Sung just don't. This theme is introduced when Nora first meets Arthur and carries on until Hae Sung leaves, asking Nora what she might think their fates will be in their next lives, but she simply says she doesn't know. And that's everything that's left to say between them. They go their separate ways and go back to the lives they once lived, both finally getting closure on the past and a chance to let go of everything. There are opportunities open for them to come visit him or for him to come visit them, but as a friend this time. And a door is open for Hae Sung to finally live the future he was meant to live. There are things in life that we just can't control, and past lives represents coming to terms with those events that we hold no authority over. Nora and Hae Sung both hold different character themes that tie into the overarching message of the plot, letting go. As much as something may hurt now, holding on to such things will only cloud your vision of what's ahead of you and prevent you from living happily in the future. We see this in Hae Sung, as his continued clinging to his image of Nora implicitly had much to do with why he couldn't find a happy relationship in his own life. We don't know how his life turns out afterwards, but we can assume from his actions at the end that he slowly come to terms with the fact that he and Nora just weren't meant to be. And while it may hurt now like it did when she moved as a child and when she cut him off 12 years ago, he finally gets some finality here. He has a better sense of closure and a proper farewell that can open up a new, brighter window for him to live happily without thinking of her anymore. Greta Lee and Teo Yoo are both brilliant and bounce off one another in a way that's beautifully painful. And Past Lives paints a bittersweet but honest picture about love and human emotion, writing a wise and mature message that many filmmakers simply can't replicate in terms of consistency and sincerity. Celine's song delivers a beautiful film that so far is my favorite release of the entire year. If you haven't already seen it, even though I've kind of spoiled a lot of things already, I beg of you to watch it even though, I spoiled it. I promise you won't regret it. And that's why Past Lives is, in my opinion, the best movie of 2023 so far. And with that being said, that's pretty much all I have to talk about today. I'll see y'all next time. Bye bye.